Hello and welcome to another video, and today we're going to be looking at traffic film removers. Now the one that I have is from Blitz Detailing. It is a highly concentrated traffic film remover with a recommended dilution ratio of 38:1. Now, as an enthusiast detailer, TFR isn't my usual go-to pre-wash for anything. When I think of pre-wash, I think of a citrus pre-wash or a snow foam. And the main reasons for this is that generally they're a lot safer to use than a TFR, and it's a lot harder to damage the paint or the trim or anything like that on your car using a pre-wash which is citrus based or snow foam based. So generally the only time that I'll use a TFR is if I'm doing like a works van or a kind of fleet van or something like that. Generally like my dad's work truck, it gets super dirty and they're not necessarily bothered about maintaining any levels of protection or anything on it. Generally TFRs is the kind of product that you would find at cheap hand car washes, and the main reasons for this is that number one, the products are cheap and highly dilutable, and number two, they are actually quite good at getting the dirt off, but that generally comes with a cost. That cost is normally, or what a lot of people will refer to as chemical burns, and where you'll see those chemical burns is on trim pieces around the door. And some of the main reasons for that is that with them being cheap products, they take out the expensive surfactants, and sometimes they can be replaced with sodium hydroxide, which is one of the main contributing factors for the chemical staining that you find on your trim pieces. So nowadays you do get caustic and non-caustic TFRs. Some are more aggressive, some are less aggressive, some will cause more damage if left on too long, some won't. It just depends on which product you buy. I only have this one, so this is what we're going to use, and of course I'm not going to stop the video there. Let's run some tests and see what it does to the likes of protection. Let's see what it does if it's left baked on in the sunshine. As you can see, it's sunny outside. Let's see what happens if I leave it to dry on the paintwork. I'm going to use a good old Impreza as a guinea pig here. Still got lots of areas on the car that I need to paint, so this old green paint, let's abuse it a little bit. Alright, so if you watch my videos, you'll know that the bonnet still needs to be painted. And previously I done a little test with Infinity Wax's wax off product where I put 6 different waxes and sealants and stuff like that on the bonnet to do a little test to see how long it took to take them off. There's still some remnants of that left, which I'll show you just now, and let's see what effect the TFR has on it at its 1:38 dilution ratio. So you can still see where there's elements of the protection left over, and let's see if we can just rip that away. The very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to go straight in with the TFR at the 1:38 recommended dilution ratio. I'm going to leave it on for a few minutes, basically replicating good practice if you're using a TFR. Then I'm going to power wash it off and have a look and see if we've got any protection left. So on this occasion it actually looks like it's done a really good job at cleaning. However, what I did was I only left it on for a couple of minutes to let it go to work, and this one and this one are now displaying really nice hydrophobic properties. So it's certainly not stripped any of the wax that was there, just gave it a right good clean. However, that was at the recommended 38:1 dilution ratio. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to ramp it right up to 1:10 dilution ratio. So I've just made up a small amount of it at 1:10, and all I'm going to do is just syringe that on to the panels that were displaying the really good hydrophobic water behaviour. Let that bake on for a few minutes, a few more minutes. We're not going to let it dry out, and then we'll rinse it off. And again, we'll have a look and see if it's destroyed any of the waxes that's been left over. I'm just trying to make sure that that 1:10 solution isn't running onto the grille or the headlights or anything, but wait to see what happened a little bit later on in the video. Now again, using your brain and a little bit of good practice, I've only left this on for a couple of minutes before going ahead and rinsing it off. Like I mentioned, I've not let it dry out on the paint because we don't want to cause any damage just yet. but let's see if the 1 to 10 solution has stripped any of that wax off. And the answer to that question is no, it hasn't done any wax stripping. So the next thing that I'm going to try is I'm going to go back to the 1 to 38 solution, and I'm going to spray it on and agitate up with a detailing brush and see if that makes any difference on agitation. And what a difference that has made. It's completely wiped out all the wax that was left. I've now went and dug out some old trim pieces and rubbers that I've taken off the Impreza. That wing mirror's broken, so it's useless. I've got a good replacement for it. And the idea of this is I'm going to saturate the rubbers and the plastics in the 1 to 38 solution, let it dry out in the sunshine, rinse it all off and see if there's any chemical staining to the plastics or the rubbers based on this 1 to 38 recommended dilution rate. Now that they're all rinsed off and just going in for a bit of a close-up on it, I don't know if it's the kind of plastics that this particular piece is made out of, but there isn't really any staining to it. And then the rubber that's there, it looks like there's some staining to it, but I can assure you that that was there before. I was hoping for something a bit more dramatic, if I'm being completely honest. The final test that I'm going to do today is one that I forgot to record while I was doing it, but basically I took that 1 to 10 solution, sprayed it onto the bonnet there, and I'm just going to let it dry out in the sun. Let it dry out, then I'm going to come back, rinse it off once it's dry, and take a look and see if we've got any chemical staining to the paintwork. And once the bonnet's all dry, we can just go in for a closer inspection again, and we can see that there is no chemical burns or no chemical staining on the paint at this time from the 1 in 10 solution. So just to wind up today's video on the Blitz Detailing TFR, ran a few tests. To be honest, I didn't get the results that I was expecting. I was expecting a little bit of chemical burns, a little bit of chemical staining, and the only real place that I got it was on the headlight, which is already in need of a refurb, so I'm not all that bothered by it. But if you do that on, say, your brand new car, I can imagine you'd be pretty pissed off if that happened. So TFRs in general, it's something to be cautious about. If you use them correctly and you follow the instructions, you can get very good results with them. Personally, they're not really for me. I would prefer a citrus. Just it's safer and less worry about causing any damage to your paintwork or any of your trim pieces. If you are using a TFR, maybe try and stick to the lower halves of the vehicle. Definitely don't do it in direct sunlight, and don't let it dwell for too long or dry in. Just do everything that you can to minimise the chance of causing any damage to your paint or your trim or any part of your car. But I'm going to leave it there. I hope this video has been informative, and as always, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. All that stuff helps me out, and I'll see you on the next one.